Today we are going to be making some Dollar Tree fall DIYs that look so expensive but only cost a couple of bucks. Hi, I'm Allie and welcome to my channel. Today, as I mentioned, we are doing some Dollar Tree fall DIYs, and these have to be some of my favorite Dollar Tree projects I have ever made. Like, absolutely in love with the results of these projects. You're not gonna believe it. And this video is also part of a collab with my friend Rebecca Virginia DIY. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but let's go on to the first project. We're taking 3 of these wood Dollar Tree trays and then some wood glue to adhere them all together. I'm also using some Dollar Tree little clamps like these to hold the trays in place while they dry. So basically we're turning these 3 mini trays into one long tray that will be great for a centerpiece. Now, to make this look a little bit more high-end and expensive, I'm using a brand new tool, which are my miter shears, to cut down these popsicle sticks that are also from Dollar Tree. I did find this to be a little bit tough because these popsicle sticks were very, very strong, but I eventually found that if you just kind of clamp down with the miter shears on the end that you want to cut, and then quickly snap the popsicle stick upward, you'll get that nice clean cut. So that is just a helpful tip if you purchase these miter shears. I'll also be sure to link them in the description box. So what I did was glue down some little pieces here to hide these seams on both sides of this tray that we are creating, and then just for extra detail I included one on each end as well. I thought this would just make it turn into a little bit more of a crate type look. And then to hide the little star and handle cutouts on the inside of the tray, I also snipped down some popsicle sticks a little bit smaller and then hot glued them in to fill in these little spots here. Though you won't really see them, I just wanted to do this to make this look nice and clean and professional. Now we're on to the wood staining portion, and I'm of course using my favorite wood stain, which is Early American by Minwax, and it just has the perfect fall, rustic, farmhouse kind of look that we're trying to go for right here with this project. And I was out of my foam brushes that I usually use to apply the stain, so I just used a paper towel, but definitely recommend using a foam brush when applying stain, especially to a project with a lot of nooks and crannies like this one. After that stain completely dried overnight, it was time to move on to the next step, which is adding a little bit of detail by wrapping some jute twine around the handles. I just love this effect. I actually did a DIY tiled tray a while back where I did this on the handles as well, and I just think it looks so much nicer and makes it look a little bit more expensive. Next up, I've picked out these 3 really gorgeous fluted votives from Dollar Tree. They always have some stunning votives, but to make them a bit taller in the tray, I'm using some Dollar Tree Jenga blocks or tumbling tower blocks to make small little bases that the votives will sit on. So I ended up doing stacks with 3 blocks each and 3 stacks high, if that makes any sense. So in total, making a 9-block layered square. And those added just the perfect amount of height that these votives needed to stick out of the tray. Then the next step is pretty easy. I'm just taking a whole bunch of Dollar Tree florals in a color scheme that I really liked. I used my wire cutters to snip them down a little bit smaller, and then just began manipulating the stems a bit and just placing in the leaves and all of the little pieces exactly how I wanted. It did take a little bit of just some playing around with the florals to get the right arrangement that I liked, and I did try to kind of spread out and divide the leaves by coloring as best I could between each of the trays that formed this bigger tray. And I also found too, with some Dollar Tree florals like these faux, I think these are faux mums or something like that, you could actually take 2 of them and hot glue them together to make a bigger flower that looks just so much better than the single flower stem that you get when you buy it from Dollar Tree. And I just filled in with some of these beautiful orange looking flowers. And then also went in with some of these smaller little daisy type flowers in both the cream color and the yellow color to add some extra pops and variation. And as a final detail, I added in some small little berries along with these tiny little cream pumpkins. I added 3 votive candles from Dollar Tree, and that completes this gorgeous high-end looking centerpiece. mentioned at the beginning, this video was a collab with Rebecca over at Rebecca Virginia DIY. She invited me to collab with her for the fall season, which I love, and she's also making some fall Dollar Tree DIYs that she's going to share. And I just love her channel and the Dollar Tree DIYs she comes up with. They are so creative, the attention to detail, everything is just so cute. Plus her tutorials, she just does such a great job. So make sure when you're done watching my video, check out the link in my description box to check out her video and let her know in the comments that I sent you. Okay, let's move on to the next project. I love going to Dollar Tree to pick out different jars and glassware. These two were just so cute and perfect for this project. What we're going to be doing is making faux amber glass. So I poured a ton of Mod Podge into this little measuring cup here. I also got that at Dollar Tree. And this Mod Podge was almost empty, and it turned out to be the perfect amount for this project. And so I'm using food coloring to dye the glass here. So I started out with red, and I put in a couple drops of red and then a couple drops of yellow and mixed them up to make orange. Now I added in some more red and orange to deepen the color, but the secret here is to add green to the mix, because adding in the green is going to dull down your colors that you have here and actually make this look a little more brown, which is what we're aiming for because we're going for an amber glass look. And also key with this is to really oversaturate the color. The more food coloring you put in, the more saturated your finished result is going to be with this project. So I just kept adding food coloring, mixing, adding food coloring, mixing, until I got to this final color right here. And as you can see, it's kind of like a pumpkin-y, caramely orange type color, and this color turned out 100% fantastic. So what I did was first pour that mixture into the larger jar here. I put the lid on, and then I just twisted and turned and moved the jar around until it was completely coated all of the sides with that Mod Podge and food coloring mixture. I then repeated that same exact thing using this smaller jar right here, and then I placed them both upside down on a cookie sheet lined with some foil that I put the edges up on to protect the cookie sheet for an hour. After that hour was over, I swapped out to a new piece of foil, flipped the jars over, then I put the jars in the oven and turned the oven on so that the jars would preheat in the oven as well at 200 degrees for 30 minutes. Then you leave the jars sit in the oven until the oven is completely cool. Now, while those jars were cooling in the oven, I wanted to do something really cute for the lids. So I have these two mini pumpkins like you saw earlier in the video. I hot glued them down to the top of the lids and then took them outside and spray painted them with some satin black spray paint. I just am so shocked at how well this amber glass technique turned out, and will definitely be trying it again in a future DIY. Now let's make a really fun wreath for fall using one of my favorite current home decor trends, which is brass. I just love the look of brass right now, especially for the fall. It just adds a little bit of some sparkle into the space as well as some warmth. So I'm using various bunches of Dollar Tree leaves and cutting them down so they're just smaller picks to make this easier to work with. And then using a gold macrame ring that you can get at the craft store, and I've also seen Dollar Tree is starting to sell them at some of their Dollar Trees. I haven't seen them yet, but they're relatively cheap from the craft store. And I just hot glued the leaves down all the way around the wreath form and just sticking them in wherever I felt like the leaves needed to be, varying their different sizes and shapes and things like that. And as an extra detail, I also went in with some of these little foam berries and stuck those into other spots to also add in some more texture and variety into this wreath. And I actually think this wreath turns out super pretty as is. You could 100% leave it with these beautiful fall colors and it looks great, but I really just wanted to level this up just a little bit by taking it outside and spray painting the entire thing with this gorgeous gold spray paint by Rust-Oleum. I will be sure to link it in the description box, and it took 3 coats to achieve this final look. Dollar Tree just had incredible fall florals this year, and I knew I just needed to do a ton of DIYs with them. I also picked up this really cute brown basket from Dollar Tree that complemented the florals I picked out. So first things first, I glued in some Dollar Tree floral foam, and I actually stacked a square one in this little kind of cone-shaped one on top to add some height in the basket. Then I'm first starting out with these gorgeous peachy toned peonies from Dollar Tree, and I'm separating them out into smaller pieces and then sticking them into the foam. I started with the peonies because they are the centerpiece of this project. I wanted to make sure that they really had their first spot, and then we're filling things in around them. I also was just so in love with these pale peachy leaves that Dollar Tree sold, so I was using those as sort of the main filler in this basket arrangement, sticking them around the peonies and wherever I felt like they would needed to be, and this really began the base, and then we can go in with some more of the accents. So I loved these little green flower things. I don't remember what they said they are called, but I stuck them in a little bit to add some height, to add some shape variety, and of course some of that nice green tone. And there's also some more of like a burgundy type tone or like a plum kind of tone color, and I stuck those in as well. Now to add an even more texture, I love the plastic florals that Dollar Tree gets. I just think they look so much more realistic and they add a lot of fun texture, and I just thought these were super cute. They look like little wildflower bunches, and the flocking on them was just adorable. It just really added in a little bit of a cooler tone touch that this arrangement needed. And because I still had a leftover of these little cream, little daisy, sunflower type things, I just began sticking those into the arrangement as well, and added in these little frilly yellow bits too to add some flair and some height to this floral arrangement. And that completes this. It was so easy, it was so affordable using Dollar Tree florals, and the end look is fantastic. Don't forget to head over to Rebecca's channel and check out her video that is linked in the description box, and I'll include it on the end screen right here. I so much appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay crafty, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye!